intention is to walk through club sponsors and how they are impacted. So this is the first in a series of sessions that are designed to support those that are interested in serving as a club sponsor, club mentor, or club coach. We're going to be addressing overall health for clubs as well as quality in another session as well. This is planned as an overview for everything, an introduction. So we're not going to be able to deal with everything involved in club sponsors, but it will begin to answer some questions and move some people in the right direction. And so the first question we want to find out is, what type of things can we gain from serving as club sponsors? Many people consider serving a club sponsor or even a mentor role as simply steps towards the DTM, but there are also real-world benefits that are also available. For example, enhancing leadership skills. We've all seen how much more effective we are as leaders through so many of the different roles we serve in as Toastmasters. Project management abilities is also something that's very valuable in the real world and can be developed from serving as club sponsor. Another idea is expanding marketing expertise. Anyone that has worked on sponsoring a club or worked on even developing their own home club recognizes that public relations and marketing skills are developed simply by working on getting members and guests converted into those new members. So what we're going to talk about is 3 or 4 key things. The biggest being, what are the sponsor's duties? What is it that a sponsor is required to oversee and take care of in their role as sponsor? Different types of clubs, exploring corporate clubs versus community clubs. What are the differences? Feeding the enthusiasm. How do you keep a club started, and how do you get it started off right? How do you have all of the members that are involved or all the guests that are involved able to and willing to buy into what it is that we're offering? How do you feed that enthusiasm? Completing the charter, the actual paperwork that's required, we're not going to touch on. We can save that for another day. There's also some resources I'll point you to at the end of this session that can be used for the paperwork, but the paperwork is simply the paperwork. Looking at the ATO documentation, the club charter, the constitution documentation. So we're not going to touch on that in detail. Again, we've only got, less than 30 minutes now. Planning the presentation, this is also the charter party and presenting the charter to the new club, getting the club started. We'll be touching on that at future dates, or we can do some one-on-one discussion on what happens regarding planning the actual presentation and how do you the charter parties and everything that goes along with that. One of the most important things sponsors do is simply organize the new club. They present an overview of what a club looks like, introduce all of the guests, the corporation, if it's a corporate club, or the community to what a Toastmasters club can be, introducing the program to them. Regular club meetings, it's very easy to understand how if you're struggling with launching a club, you would go at irregular dates. You might have it a couple of weeks and then pause and then run it a couple more weeks. In particular, if it's a community club, running consistency and regular meetings is going to be very important. Another thing to keep in mind is try to avoid replicating your home club in whatever the new club is going to be. Regular club meetings, for all intents and purposes, means vanilla meetings. And by vanilla, I mean the standard key pieces of the actual agenda, rather than simply replicating what you do at your home club. It might be very good for your home club that is a 2-hour evening club on a Thursday to have additional roles or unique styles and breaks. But if you're trying to form a club downtown at a lunch hour or a breakfast club, incorporating some of those things that you do in your home club might not be the best solution once you're trying to get started. And then, of course, completing paperwork and planning charter presentation is also part of the charter, or the duties of the sponsor. Clubs come in 4 broad types. Corporate clubs. A corporate club is going to be a club that is sponsored by a corporation, often will pay for the members their dues, provide the member location, and have it internal to their corporate club. The community club is exactly that, happens within a community. Often an evening club, could be a weekend club. Another thing that a community club could be is a community club that takes place within a corporation. Having your corporation provide an environment for the club or for the program to be established, but bringing in, for example, business people from a variety of different locations. Downtown Ottawa has a number of community clubs that happen to participate or take place within a corporation. While they seem to be corporate clubs, truly their community clubs just happen to be held within the corporations. An advanced club often requires specialized education levels or limits to be involved in that club. Historically, it used to have a CC or competent communicator as a minimum to enter an advanced club. Now some advanced clubs might consider a level 2 in any one of the paths for requirement to the advanced clubs. One of the keys with advanced clubs is recognizing, of course, that you're speaking to an advanced member and you're going to be presenting at an advanced level. Therefore, different things could apply, such as types of evaluations. And then specialty clubs, humor clubs, clubs to specific demographics, clubs that are focused on special topics. There's all sorts of ways you can have a specialty club. The key that I encourage you to keep in mind with a specialty club is, what is the number of people available? Do you have critical mass to have a specialty club? If your club happens to be underwater basket weavers, how many underwater basket weavers are in the community, and are there enough to support the club? When establishing a corporate club, there's a magazine and manual available, How to Build a Toastmasters Club. I'm going to post a link to that for everyone to be able to find and track down. It walks through all of the different information available, including the paperwork that's required to complete the ATO, attempt to organize, first documentation, as well as all of the documentation needed to complete and charter the actual club. The new member kit contains a variety of different pieces of information, such as forms, the promotional brochures, and other material that can be used to help establish the club. It's designed to market the club, to get the word out, be used for guest packets, and available for when those people come in and visit, so that you can say, here is some information about who we are and what we do, how can we help you, and how can we get information into your hands for you to see on a later date. One of the most important thing about establishing any club is Toastmasters teamwork. 2 sponsors per club, 2 mentors per club. In addition to the 2 sponsors and 2 mentors, all of the district leadership are available to help you out. There's also club sponsors that are available. And one of the things that people often forget is that club sponsors is going to be one of the greatest sources of support, of membership, of those people that can come alongside and help with demo meetings. Those people that come alongside and help answer the questions for the guests and for the new members, serving as mentors. The 2 sponsors start from inception of the club through to the charter for their recognition. 2 mentors start from charter through to 6 or 12 months in order to lay the foundation for the club during its growth. Our recommendation is, at the beginning, at inception, you identify 4 members that will serve as sponsors and mentors, work together and share the load through to chartering and on to completion of the mentoring period. All 4 members working together so that no individual or no pair of people find themselves spending more time than really could be necessary. By sharing the load, it is that much easier to carry. Of course, district director, club growth director, other Toastmasters and district leaders are all available to help establish a club. Something that we have recently done is begun to establish a demo team in each of the cities, Ottawa, Montreal, and Quebec City. In Ottawa and Montreal, there are already names in place, members that are committed and have agreed to be available if their calendar allows, to serve and support in the role of demo meeting participant, anything from serving as a Toastmaster, serving as a speaker, or any of the other club roles that is necessary. They have not committed to joining the club. They've not committed to serving as a sponsor or mentor. They have committed to checking their calendar and attending those meetings that fit into their calendar. So I will also add that link and make that available so that people understand where to find the demo teams for each of the different cities. When establishing a new club, one of the most important things to keep in mind is identifying your target. Where is it that you want to work with? If it's a corporate club, your target could be those companies that are within the city, within your area, that you're familiar with, based on the size, the location. It could be the revenue, saying that you want to have a certain size of company, and that's dictated by a company must have at least $1 million in revenue or maybe more. Commonly, you want to pay attention to the number of people in that organization as well. It's been our experience that if you don't have 400 or more people in a company, then you may struggle with getting those members within a closed company environment. The encouragement will be a community club within a corporate environment so that you don't draw on a single company that has 50, 75, or 100 employees, enough to be interested, but not enough to sustain a club long term. Identifying contacts and decision makers within a club, it's the same as if you were looking to create a club within a community, identifying those contacts that are going to take the lead in a corporate environment. If you're looking to have somebody serve as a liaison between the club and the corporation that may or may not be part of the executive at a time, identifying those contacts and working through the contacts to those decision makers will be very important. When you're identifying companies, strategies, initiatives, priorities, this is the very same as when you have a new member come into your club. You have a conversation with them about what and why are they a good fit? What and why are they looking for in the Toastmasters program? Understanding what's happening within an organization, understanding what's happening within an environment, the strategies and the initiatives that a company is going through will help with the discussion of this is why Toastmasters would be a good solution. An organization that has a variety of smaller or younger staff members or reaches out to the community on a regular basis would make sense to say, this is a good environment for this company. There has been a lot of talk, as you recall, about what happens with a club that is in formation, in particular regarding the finances. How do you park a club? How do you park members in order to have them join, get access to the Pathways program in advance of the actual club chartering? Designating someone to take care of the payments, commonly with a sponsoring club, having those payments sent in to Toastmasters or held until they get sent in is very important. The sponsor club can be deposited. So as an example, Finley Creek is south of the city. They are working to charter their club. Collab Toastmasters is parking the memberships for Finley Creek. Someone goes to Finley Creek, joins the club, pays their dues to Finley Creek, and through Collab Toastmasters, the member is registered in Toastmasters International. That member then has access to everything that is required, everything that is available within Toastmasters, and the club continues to grow. At which point, once they hit their 20 members, those parked members will transfer back into Finley Creek, and Finley Creek will then be able to process the paperwork for their charter. The key, though, is in tracking and taking care of those payments and helping those go through a sponsor club right from the beginning. Establishing those budget numbers and making sure that all lines up is going to be important to do. And then, of course, paying the fees through the sponsor club to park. Within your new clubs, demonstration meetings is something that we've all talked about, we've all seen. I'd mentioned earlier, ensuring a demonstration meeting is, for all intents and purposes, vanilla. The key roles, the key pieces to introduce someone to the Toastmasters program. Toastmasters, speakers, evaluators, table topics masters, evaluation. These are the fundamental roles that happen in every meeting. There are some additional roles, joke master as an example, the toast as an example, that don't necessarily happen in every club. Invocation doesn't happen in every club. But every club has a toastmaster, a speaker, a general evaluator, and table topics. This is why it's so important to hold those in your demonstration meetings. Demonstration meetings, keep them within the time limits. Ensure that we have time for the pieces that are going to be done, and allow also some time to have discussion about what Toastmasters is, what the guests are looking for, answering those questions. The three aspects, again, communication, evaluation, and impromptu speaking. Selection of your team for the demo meeting. Again, Ottawa demo team at gmail.com, Montreal demo team at gmail.com. I'll post the email addresses so that you have the access to those later on. That's where you select your Toastmasters for the various roles and invite high-level representatives, if it makes sense, within each of the different meetings. Anybody from the district, your area directors, division directors. The key is that the division directors and area directors are vested in the clubs that are being formed. It makes sense for them to be available and interested in willing to attend. And of course, funding the guest book, because we want to make sure that we're able to track down all of our members and all of our guests to know where they're at. Before the demonstration, prospective members can be appointed and asked to volunteer, asked to support, asked to step in and serve in any capacity. They don't have to speak. They're invited to speak. Same as a guest that comes to a regular meeting. There are some examples in demonstrations where the Toastmaster narrates what happens. Have a guest come to the lectern. The Toastmaster would then narrate in the background, explaining what happens and giving sidebars for each of the different components of the meeting. I have seen Toastmasters meetings where these are demo meetings that simply run like a Toastmasters meeting, open, close, and then the guest doesn't have an opportunity to ask any questions or understand why things are being done. In this case, having the Toastmaster act as a narrator, explaining why things are done, what the different capacities are, what the roles are, and the opportunity for the different members to change roles week to week, meeting to meeting, will be important so that the guests understand what it is that they're looking at. Introducing sponsors, introducing members, having Q&As, success stories. All of these things are designed to add weight, add value, add insight into what's happening with the actual meetings. If Toastmasters are able to share the Toastmaster stories and what people gained from Toastmasters, why they joined, what they're looking at, then this is going to be something that the guest will be able to see and recognize. I understand now why I may want to come alongside this program. Of course, the application to organize we talked about, and submitting it once all the paperwork is done. This website will take you to the How to Build a Toastmasters Club manual. It is a simple download, contains all of the forms needed for the application to organize, the club charter information, as well as the constitution documentation. It's available in a digital format that can be made available to any of the key contacts that you're working with, any of the other Toastmasters that come alongside and support you. What I'd like to do is take a second and see if anybody has questions that they would like to be able to discuss.
Jim, I have a question. It's Valerie.
Mm-hmm.
One of the discussion points that I've heard a lot about this year is with the requirements for advanced clubs. As you know, I'm a member of Avancée Synergie, and we do have the CC/level 2 minimum requirement.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also our understanding that some of the other advanced clubs in the Ottawa area do not have this requirement. Is it mandatory for them to have it, or it simply states that they must be advanced in some way or manner?
Clubs are independent, Valerie, and because they're independent, they're able to set their own requirement. It could be, as an example, some clubs are closed based on the nature of their organization. It's the same with the advanced criteria. Some could say advanced is level 2 or competent communicator. Others could say advanced is DTM, focusing on humor. It's up to the club itself.
Thank you. I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a resource or a list available of different areas that we can approach when looking for a venue? Because I'm finding that this is my biggest challenge to date. I don't know who to approach. So I don't know if there's certain resources that can give you ideas. I don't know.
I think I understand your question. And one of the things that I have found that I've talked to, and I've used Tanya as an example just because of the nature of where her club is, a community club within the organization, within the corporation. There's a number of them downtown. EDC is the same example, where EDC has members from its company that are members, but also people from the community that are members in the same demographic, business people having a lunch meeting, but they don't work at EDC. For a community club, it's going to be different in as far as just tracking down locations, and that's going to be geographical. If we're talking about the Elmer Club, for example,
Yep.
how many different locations in Elmer are there practically that you could hold a meeting? And that's going to be trial and error. I think it's going to be the same when we're looking at how many different locations, corporations are there that would like to host the Toastmasters program. I think we can have a chat about this offline. I'd be happy to brainstorm with you and to see what we can find for.
Yeah, we do have one lead, but if it doesn't pan out, I would definitely love to get some other ideas.
Mm-hmm. The How to Build a Toastmasters Club step-by-step guide. The key is don't try and do this on your own. When you're sponsoring, when you're mentoring, working with clubs, in anything that we do in Toastmasters, if we try to do it on our own, we will not have as great success or as great an experience as we could have by bringing other people around us and by having more people involved in the process. It makes the workload less. It makes the end product almost every time that much greater. I encourage you to find a couple of other people to come alongside you to explore sponsoring, mentoring clubs, and allow us at the district level to help you in any capacity we can. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Have a great night.
Okay.